So, what we're going to talk about today is Joseph Campbell's basic idea of the monomyth. Um, Joseph Campbell wrote this book, I don't know how many years ago, called The Hero with a Thousand Faces. And this is where the basic premise of this idea comes from. Basic idea, according to Campbell, is that a hero ventures forth from the world of the common everyday into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered, and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from this mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boons on his fellow man. That is the basic concept of every hero story ever created, according to Joseph Campbell. What he's going to do in the course of these ideas is kind of lay out all of the things necessary. Now, I told you that this is going to be called the monomyth. It's also called the hero's journey. It was originally laid out by Campbell in 1949, and it describes the process that all heroes go through in classic heroic narratives. It, it's it's something that shows up any time period, any culture. Um, Now, these are the steps not in a chronological sense. They don't have to happen in this order. Some of these are not even events, but they're things that the hero interacts with in a certain way. This first kind of evening, if you will, of the monomyth, we're going to really focus on the departure. If you go back here to the basic idea, they venture forth from the world of the common day into a region of supernatural wonder. That's the part that we're going to focus on first. The departure starts with a call to adventure. The hero finds themselves in a particularly mundane situation. There's not a whole lot going on. It's boring everyday life. It's what you all go through on a daily basis. But some aspect of information pops up that kind of pushes the hero to realize that something needs to be done. There's some sort of spur to action, if you will. When the hero hears that call, they will often refuse to go into the adventure for a variety of reasons. Duty, fear, insecurity, sense of inadequacy. I said duty. But what's going on here is the hero recognizes that there's something to be done, but maybe it's a sense of insecurity. It's, yes, something needs to be done, but I'm not good enough to do it. Fear, I don't want to get killed doing this. Duty, Luke Skywalker, for example, he meets Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's his call to adventure. He gets told, we need to go fight the Empire together. His initial reaction is a sense of duty. No, I promised Uncle Ben and Aunt Beru that I'd stay on for one more season. You know, this is what I'm supposed to do. I have this duty to my family that this is what I'm supposed to do. He has that initial refusal of the call. This comes up time and time again with a variety of heroes. As things go on, there's a supernatural aid of some sort. Sometimes it's a supernatural mentor that appears. Again, back to Star Wars. It might be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Eventually it becomes Yoda. There's a talisman or an artifact that later helps the hero. Now, sometimes it's a very specific thing that gives a very concrete assistance to the hero. It's Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. It is Harry's wand. It's any number of things. It also can be something that is really just a kind of a mental strengthener. It's something that the hero is reminded of what they're supposed to do. The best aspect of this would be the Mockingjay pin that Katniss is given at the beginning of the first book of the Hunger Games series. At no point in the series does that pin actually do anything to benefit Katniss. It's just something she holds on to. The reason why it becomes important is because she holds on to that as a memory as to what she's supposed to be doing, the reason why she's on her quest. So That's the Talion artifact. Again, the supernatural mentor. It could be Gandalf the Grey. It could be Obi-Wan Kenobi. It could be Dumbledore. There's a lot of these supernatural mentors that appear that are not the hero themselves, but guide the hero to what they're supposed to do. The next two are really tricky. Um, First, we have the crossing of the first threshold. The crossing of the first threshold is the point where the hero leaves what is known, what he's used to, what is the everyday normal occurrences of their lives, and enters into the world where they can become a hero. Enters the world in which they are no longer kind of comfortable in their own lives. There's a aspect of the unknown in that. It's kind of difficult to differentiate the crossing of the first threshold from the belly of the whale. The belly of the whale is when they are so deep into this world of the unknown, they cannot come back. Um, it's the point of no return. Crossing the first threshold, you can always turn around, stop, give up, all of that. But the basic idea is once you've entered the belly of the whale, you are either going to become a hero or you will die. There's no other avenues of recourse for somebody that's gotten to that point. One of the important things to do a little bit of literary criticism, the crossing of the first threshold. More often than not, what you're going to find when the hero crosses this major threshold of them leaving what they're normally with to entering a world that they are completely unfamiliar with, they're going to be crossing some sort of body of water. In one of the most famous poems of all time, it's called The Divine Comedy by Dante, and it's broken into three sections. This is like a 600-page poem, but it's broken into three sections, and the first part is Inferno. Some of you video gamers might have heard of the game Dante's Inferno. It's based on this 900-year-old Italian poem. Well, Dante's Inferno starts where the main guy, Dante himself, has to cross the river Styx. Once he crosses the river Styx in this play, he is leaving the world that he is familiar with, this kind of world that he's sleepwalking through, and he enters what we realize is hell. Dante ends up traveling through the underworld to discover what it's really like. But in order for him to enter this world that he is not familiar with, to cross that first threshold, he has to cross a body of water. We're going to see that in Harry Potter. He has to cross a body of water to leave what he's familiar with, to enter what he is unfamiliar with. Now that's crossing the first threshold. Belly of the whale can sometimes look like the exact same thing. It's difficult though because the belly of the whale, how do I say this? It's the point, again, it's the point of no return. So in like a kung fu movie, the crossing the first threshold, the belly of the whale, is that first punch that's thrown. There's no point after Karate Kid really stands up to Cobra Kai that he's ever going to get out of that situation unscathed. He's going to be victorious or he will have lost. That's the point where both are happening at almost the exact same instant. That the crossing of the first threshold and the belly of the whale are simultaneous. Sometimes it's a little bit more drawn out. Sometimes we don't really truly realize when the characters entered the belly of the whale until we realize kind of what heroic journey, what their own personal story is going to look like. So that's going to be the difference for a lot of these characters. That ends the departure. The departure is a really quick part. Sometimes, in a story, the departure can take 20 minutes. For sometimes it could take a few hundred pages. The departure, once again, they're called to action. There's a reason for them to become a hero. They refuse that initial call. They don't think that it's right for them to do it. They don't think they can accomplish the goals of the call. They don't think they are worthy of it, whatever the reason. The supernatural aid, the mentor, the Taliman comes in. And that's one of the things that gives them the strength to finally accept the call. Once the call is accepted, um, they must cross that first threshold. Crossing the first threshold is them entering the world where they can become the hero at some point. Shortly after, sometimes, the crossing of the first threshold, which is normally a body of water, the belly of the whale comes into play. That is the idea. Now you're in it. You're either going to become the hero or you're going to lose. So you've got to take the quiz now. It's at myportal.dvusd.org. The answer to the second question is elephant. That is the answer to the second question, elephant. But also, I'm going to have one of the options, one of the questions on there. What questions do you have? Because I raced through this. I thought it would take 45 minutes. I'm going to be done before 12 minutes are up. So if you have any questions, please take them in that portal quiz. We'll talk about it probably on Thursday for the regular classes. That makes the most sense. All right. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.